is a novel about a woman in her late 40s who has had many lovers in her life, but never one true love. And that is because our heroine, Edwina Glendower, has hidden a large part of herself. She hides it from the world and in large part from herself as well. The opening line of the book is, Edwina Glendower scoffed at all those who thought she had magical powers. But she does have magical powers, and that is what she is concealing because of a traumatic incident when she was in college. So she has decided that you don't use magic, you just use logic to get what you want. And so she has made a list of all the ways she is going to try to find a man. She is very striking looking. She's 6 feet tall. She is a brunette with a swath of white hair in the front. She often dresses, when she's not going to work, as an accountant, a profession she chose because it was so far from magic. She often dresses in blue with some sign of symbols that might be celestial on her garb. And she has made up this list of how she's going to do things logically. Edwina lives in San Francisco, in contemporary San Francisco, in one of those houses that are 2 flats, and you go up the front steps and you go to the left, you go up to a flat on the lower floor, the right, you go to a flat on the upper floor. And her one friend, because it's hard for her to even make friends, is Howard, who is her neighbor. So Edwina has sent, has answered or sent an ad to the personals column in the New York Review of Books. Now you can see a little sort of holding back there. The New York Review of Books is esoteric. It's in New York. She's in California. But someone has answered with references to old movies, which she loves. And so this is, what I'm going to read, is Edwina's first date, if you will. Edwina jumped when her doorbell rang. It was too early. She was ready, dressed in blue, but it was only 6 o'clock. She didn't expect him for another hour. However, it wasn't him, it was only Howard. Twirl around, girl, and let's see how fine you look. When is Vladimir expected? Howard repeated the name and sounded out each syllable separately. Vlad-e-mir. Just Vlad will do, Edwina said. Ah, Vlad the Impaler. He wiggled his bushy gray eyebrows in a poor imitation of Groucho Marx. Which kind of impale? There will be no impaling of any kind, Edwina answered. Do I pass inspection? Howard nodded emphatically. Then off you go. She took Howard by the shoulders and turned him back towards her apartment door. Vlad Johnson, Edwina murmured to herself. Certainly an unusual combination of names. Maybe his mother was Russian and his father English. Or maybe he had changed his last name to conceal Romanian ancestry. Wasn't Romania the home of the original Vlad the Impaler? And wasn't he the inspiration for Dracula? Edwina looked out the window. The fog had really come in. Not a star could be seen, and the moon was completely obscured. The bell rang, and Edwina pulled the lever that opened the front door. She stood at the top of the stairs, eagerly awaiting her first sight of Vlad. He might have been Romanian or Russian, but that wasn't the first thing Edwina noticed. He was 6'3", he was not 6'3" as he'd written, probably closer to 5'3". And if by being in shape every which way meant that there was as much of him around as there was vertically, he certainly measured up. He'd said he was 50 plus, and that plus part was certainly true as he huffed his way up the stairs to Edwina's flat. Hiya, sugar, Vlad said. Boy, oh boy, you certainly are one long drink of water. He gave a drawn-out wolf whistle. Edwina didn't think anyone had made that sound in decades. You got some climb here. Vlad stood at the top of the stairs, fanning himself with the Kangol cap he'd been wearing. Bet it keeps those long legs of yours in great shape. I'm just going to sit here for a minute, hope you don't mind, and look over the landscape. With those words, Vlad sat down heavily on the sofa, which emitted a complaining puff of air. Come on over, sit next to me, he patted the cushion. Would you like a drink of water, some wine? Edwina ignored Vlad's invitation. Wine, that would be terrific. You got anything stronger? Vlad waited for an answer, but Edwina had already slipped through the arch of the living room and the swinging door to her kitchen. She looked at the bottle of McCrosty Chardonnay she chilled earlier, then put it back in the fridge. Instead, she poured 2 glasses of wine from her open bottle of cooking Chardonnay, known familiarly as 2-buck Chuck because of its price. Edwina handed Vlad a glass of wine, and ignoring his repeated patting of the sofa cushion, she moved to her blue velvet chair. Playing hard to get, Vlad said. That's okay for now, I can see you're a lady. But lady, you'll find out I know what ladies like. And Vlad took a hearty swallow of the wine. That was such an interesting piece you put in the review, Edwina said. What caught my eye were references to old movies. I love movies, old and new, romances, dramas, comedies, anything but suspense. How about you? Yeah, sometimes I'll go to a movie, not like when I was younger and the back row of the balcony was your only hidey hole, if you know what I mean. Edwina knew what he meant, but she suppressed the image it conjured up. She soldiered on. Do you have a favorite director, actor? I don't like guys. I'm a guy, you know what I mean? So I like actresses, girls. Marilyn Monroe, now that was some star. And the other one, the one who lost her head in some freak accident, Jane something or other, they were great, really built. Edwina sipped her wine in silence. She could not quite decide where to take this conversation next. Vlad had already finished his wine. He held out his glass and patted that damn seat cushion again. Edwina looked out the window. God, it was dark out there, and then back at Vlad. Tell me, she said, you don't really seem to like movies, at least not a whole lot, but you put all your movie names into your ad in the review. Could I ask why or how you came to do that? What is this review you're talking about? The New York Review of Books? The personals column? Edwina found all her statements were turning into questions. Had she let the wrong person into her home? A book review? Why would I want that? I don't read books so much that I need to read something about books. Vlad paused, looked at Edwina through narrowed eyes. Listen, you look like a nice girl, so I'm going to level with you, not beat around the bush, if you know what I mean, because I'd really like things to work out between you and I. Here's what happened. My friend Sid, he said to me one day, you need to meet a better class of girl. Let me help you get some numbers, some possibilities. Okay, I figured, you know how it is. What do they say? Nothing vented, nothing gained. So I told Sid to go ahead, and here I am. The rest, as they say, is the story. Vlad, if that was his name, held out his 2 hands, palm up, as if he had now explained how he had shrunk almost a foot and gained a decade from the man who'd placed the ad and answered her response. Vlad continued, I gave him a few bucks. I want you to know, honey, I always pay my own way, and I can be very generous too. I hope you get to see that side of me. Vlad smiled. Edwina said, let me be honest too. I told you, or anyway I told Sid, that I was single, but that's because I can't stand my husband. I want to meet someone who will marry me and support me so I can leave that lousy bastard. And I thought tonight would be a good night to meet because Edwina paused and then was inspired. It's his bowling night, but just before you got here, he called, Arnold called, and they canceled the games because too many of the men were sick from getting flu shots. Vlad was already up. Is he tall, like you, he asked. Well, sure, a little taller and bigger, you know. She made a muscle holding up and clenching her right fist. Well, doll, it's been. Vlad was too far down the stairs too quickly for Edwina to know exactly what it had been for him. But she knew what it had been for her. She took the 2 glasses into the kitchen, put Vlad's in the dishwasher, poured out the remains of her $2 chuck, and refilled her glass with the McCrosty. She dialed Howard's number. You've got to come up here right now. Are you choking? Howard asked. Are you all right? I'll kill that bastard Vlad if he... I'm not choking. I'm not laughing. I'm laughing. Get your butt up here. I've opened a bottle of the McCrosty and need you here so I don't drink it all by myself. And you will love this one. Let me just say, there was no chance of any impaling, although I did consider defenestration for a moment, but then he left of his own accord.